Should we turn story time into a little bit of an unboxing as well? Because I definitely just got a package from a buddy. Let's see what's in here. I accidentally opened the recycled material on the inside of the envelope walls. Oh, you know what this package is? This is an unbelievable gift. But you better believe it. These are some laminated placemats from a dear, dear friend who just purchased a laminator specifically to make placemats of K-pop group BTS. I will now be eating off of BTS placemats laminated by a dear friend. Oh, look at that Lisa Frank. What? Yes. I would like to discuss the implication of the bears on there. I love that there are sparkling bears. Oh my god, yes. Oh, friends are the best. I'm gonna eat off these placemats. I'm gonna eat off these placemats. And Sonia Belasco, Natasha Washington, I can't wait to have some story time on camera with you. Not just reading your books, but interviewing you about your fabulous stories as well, and making a tutorial on how to make kimchi fried rice, which I will make and eat off of BTS Lisa Frank placemats. Oh, I'm in such a good mood for story time now. Hi, story time. Ophelia Immune. Placemats aren't just for eating off of, you can read off of them as well. That was so great. Okay. The next chapter of Ophelia Immune is called The Friends. Okay. I woke up alone in the closet, underneath blankets that Kite had dropped onto me, her piles of lavender discards. I don't rush to find her. My muscles are loose and pulverized, relaxed to have been used. I can be wrestled with. I can be kissed. I can be slept against. I'm not a lonely child stuck by myself in the back seat, or alone in the world with no one to touch. I can be left to sleep in our shared closet while my lover gets up to make coffee and turn the radio on. She'll be sitting by the window, my little sister at her knee, a regular family portrait. We'll embrace, have breakfast, and hold hands as we work to save the little girls who we want to someday be as lucky as we are now. But when I open the door, I can't see Kite's face. She's just hunched over the dining room table, leaning and grunting into a slab of plywood, pushing an awl against the ruts on its surface. She blows the dust from a piece of square scrap and holds it up for me to see. She's carved a small girl sitting proudly on top of the petals of a blooming flower, her arms tossed up in the air in victory. I lean in for a kiss, but she brushes me away. Come on, sleepyhead. Slow poke. Let's get to the safe house. I want to use my carving to make some awareness-raising flyers for the printing press. Okay, sure. But first I need to untie Juliet, give her a little attention and exercise, get her some fresh water. Jeez, Ophelia. Don't ruin the good morning mood by talking about your pet. She's not my pet. She's my sister. You know it. She's a zombie, Ophelia. You know it. Well, so are we. But if we could find a real cure, all of us could. There is no real cure. Must I teach you everything over and over again? No, I say. My family taught me lots. Ophelia, family is the stupidest thing I have ever heard of, and I'm glad that mine is gone. But Kite, You could be my family. We can love each other, and we could be family altogether. She marches to me in my shorts and mismatched half sweaters, and she grabs me and drags me all the way to the park by the river. The river is full of fish, so there are no humans around, certainly none with any common sense. She throws me down on the soggy grass. I cling to her waist, trying to appease her, trying to find where she is hurt, wishing that we were still asleep in our closet. She flings me off of her and races to the water's edge, plunging in up to her knees, not caring about the arm prints or the handprints on my arm. "No," I screech, "don't go in there. There are fish in the water." "So?" she says. "So what?" She stoops and drags her hands through the vile water, tempting the slimy, scaly monsters to bite her, their vacant, bulging eyes looking at nothing while they circle her wrists in the dark, willing to eat anything, not caring if it's food. She brings her hands together and stands up, with a writhing, gray-green fish with whiskers in her grasp. She brings it to me on the grass and thrusts it into my face. She slaps me with its muddy tail. "No, get it away!" "Why?" Kite asks. "It can't make you any sicker. It doesn't even carry the plague." "Yes, they do." "No, they don't. Let me enlighten you again." She kisses the dripping fish, and then she pulls her arm back and launches it back into the water where it disappears into the gloom. She kisses my face. She forces her lips on my lips until I taste the river water that comes from the gasping fish. She pins me until I calm, her mouth on my forehead. "You love the doctors and your parents, Ophelia. You think they will save us. But I know better. My father was a scientist. He studied fish. Let me tell you about them, Ophelia. There were once millions and millions of fish, healthy fish. People ate them out of the oceans and rivers and ponds and fish farms. These farms were the problem. When fish started to disappear from the overused wild waterways, the farmers had to put more and more and more fish into their farms. They crammed them in until there were fish just brimming and flopping over the sides of the fences, gasping and drowning in the air, and not being able to move against the walls. Some of the fish started getting sick because they were so close together. Their eyes got even glossier, and then they died. But they look okay when they're dead, just a little bloated. So the farmers cut their heads off, sliced them up, and sold them to people for food. When humans ate the sick fish, and they would get a fever and keel over, and then stand right back up and try to eat everything, even other people, voila, zombies. "I know that," I say. "I know that the disgusting fish started this." "So the government," she continues, "before there were rangers and campsites and shortages, told the farmers to kill off all of their fish, not just to kill the fish, but to burn them and turn the ashes over to the president. But the government didn't give them enough money to carry out the orders, and the farmers didn't know any better or thought it was no big deal, so they just tipped them over and let them flop and slither into the beaches and the fields or their streams and lakes and seas." "Well, how could they have known it was a big deal?" I ask. "So then the scientists," she says, "had to help kill all of the fish in a different way. They dumped huge vats of fish killer into all of the wild water. It was either the people or the fish, so the fish had to die. But when they looked at the agua the next day, dead, everything was muerto. Not just the fish, the plants, the birds, the furry animals, all at once. All of the water, dead. They had accidentally killed everything near the land where they dumped the poisons. People started to be thirsty and hungry and riot and not have enough money to buy even cans of food. Parents protested and left their jobs and moved to different cities. The government was too busy and broken to take care of the angry, hungry people to watch out for the people who were still getting sick and biting. They bit more and more people who just wanted tax cuts instead of prioritizing services. So the government collapsed, and here we are, with rangers and gangsters running the show and patrolling the vultures and ex-humans that bite everything that moves." "Well, but they were just trying to do the right thing," I say. "But they were too cheap to do things right. Nobody listened for the real data. Luckily, nature's smarter than all of us. Any scientist worth a government salary should have known. The wild fish who carried the plague all died, even the ones that weren't near the poison. They didn't even need the poison. They died of their sickness anyway. It ran its course, and the poison couldn't reach the healthy fish everywhere on the whole planet. So the fish that survived are coming back, and so are the plants, cleaning away the poison from the water. The fish don't carry anything dangerous anymore. The plague ran its course in the fish naturally. The government didn't need to dump poison that impoverished the world by taking away their food supply. They didn't mean to. We could listen and act better than they did, I argue. You know rangers don't listen well. Families don't listen well. Scientists don't listen well. Farmers don't listen well. You know whose fault that is? My dad's. He worked for the government, picking which doctors to trust, and he helped dump the poison. He was just trying to save us. I reached for her arm. He killed the water and destroyed the world, and he'll gladly destroy us. 2 years ago, I came home from a party 4 days late. I'd been out partying with my friends in a classmate's penthouse. One of them thought it'd be funny to spin a zombie around like a piñata and poke it. When they were finished, it was supposed to fall over a balcony into the pool to scare the girl standing near the deep end. But somebody pushed it the wrong way, and by the time I looked up from my drink, it was sinking its teeth into my cheek. My stupid friends locked me in a spare bathroom and forgot about me. The cleaning lady let me out 2 days later, already dead and cold, but clearly immune, still talking. My idiot friends stuttered out what had happened to me, but not only were they brainless dopes, but I wasn't exactly cool anymore with my bleeding gums. My family treated me even worse. I limped home, terrified and depressed. I stood across my father's study and told him that I was mostly immune. He sat me down in his spare leather chair and went to get me a cup of hot tea. But when he handed it to me, I could smell the arsenic. He knew that there was no real cure. He wanted me dead. I threw it on the floor and broke out of the window to the street before he could bash my head in. Well, but Kite, we could find better doctors. There are better ones. We could show everybody how the science really works and tell our families. Oh, we'll certainly show people a thing or two, but doctors, scientists, rangers, families, they're all the same. Only friends are worthwhile in this world, and barely that. Only those of us who can tell who is really cool. We could be cool, Ophelia. So we get everyone working together to learn? I ask. Not everyone. But yeah, something like that. We will say what is cool. She spits in the grass, stretching her lungs with a great sigh, and rests her head on my chest. I sink to the mud beneath her weight. She's wrong. She had one of the mean fathers. If my dad had known that I was immune, he wouldn't have killed me. He just would have killed Juliet, like he killed Imogen. But he would have kept me around with Mom and Hector and everybody, so she could cook up to join him, would they? They would have killed me to protect them? If I had waited until daylight, if Dad had seen me better, would he have let me go and wander alone? Or would he have killed me before even looking for a real cure? Or before seeing that I was immune? Could there be a real cure? Is Kite right? Tears run down my face into the black soil of the abandoned park. Kite wipes one from my cheek. Come on, little friend. Let's go see Carlos's toys. I don't know if I believe her. I don't know if fish are not really killers anymore, if she's right about family. But I let her pull me to my feet and grip my hand as we walk to the safe house. When my head stops spinning and I realize that we've arrived, she places her carved wooden block in the middle of the metal tray and rests behind the rollers of the printing press for Carlos to see. He admires it and pulls out the trays of letters that they would use to print the flyers for the words for the flyers. I stare out of the window of the locked office, lost in thought, until Carlos's daughter, Sylvia, catches my eye. She's waving at us from the middle of her tens of similarly aged nannies. I wonder if Carlos will return her sticky sweet wave, or if he would fail like Kite's father and my father had failed us. The girl giggles and drools lemonade. How can they? How can they people ignore their children, kill their children, sell their children? I wonder out loud. I know, terrible isn't. Carlos turns a screw more tightly. Into the printing press, but without looking up at his own daughter. He doesn't return her wave. Because families are stupid, Kite responds, and society believes that girls are dispensable. I don't know, I say. I think it might also be because they're hungry. Your dad poisoned the water and killed all the fish, so they have nothing left to eat. Couldn't we feed people? Could we take some awareness-raising flyers that parents shouldn't sell their girls for food? They could just eat fish if they're not sick anymore. We could tell them about the real science, with your art, to help the families. Couldn't they just eat the fish now? Carlos blanches. Kite glowers. Gross! The tall bow girl pipes up from just outside the glass. I heard that. Fish? That's gross. Seriously, if you don't know how to save the girls properly, Kite pinches my elbow and pushes me towards the door. Maybe you should just go learn with them. Carlos hands me a brand new, unused notebook and a freshly sharpened pencil. You're welcome to join the girls at the school table, he smiles. I glance at the table full of slouching children, gathered around the marker board, with a studious girl instructing them. You too, Bernice. Carlos points for the bow and arrow girl to return to her studies. Go learn. Have fun. Yeah, right, Bernice sulks. School is so much fun. I'd be better off with my bows and arrows. Kite pumps a solidarity fist at her. I think school is fun, I tell her. She scowls and stomps ahead of me. I choose a chair at the end of the table and adjust my paper and pencil to look organized, setting my eraser parallel to the edge of my paper. Every girl at the table does the same. I itch my nose. They itch their noses. I sit up straight and look at the board attentively. They try to focus on the girl who is teaching and on me at the same time. I open my notebook and diligently combine the words that the teacher has written into the correct conjunctions. Mustn't, my paper says. Je t'aime, my paper says. The girls scribble on their worksheets. A toddler, trying to be included, colors with a thick broken crayon. She draws me a squiggly heart with a crooked axe inside. She comes and stands next to me in the middle of the lesson, pointing out the different elements of her picture. I pat her lightly on the top of her head, but encourage her back to her own chair. I don't want to miss out on any of the lesson. I don't want to get too near her thin, fragile skin. When they're finished learning, I watch them shove their papers into their cubbies and chop carrots for dinner. I see them laugh and push at each other as they throw the garbage bags out the front door and down to the dumpster on the old factory floor. They prance when they go anywhere but to wash their bowls, and even when they arrive at the sink, the bubbles cheer them up. They wear the bubbles as beards and sideburns and floppy hats. They are soaked from head to toe by the time they peel off their dirty clothes and slide into dry, clean pajamas. They shove brightly colored toothbrushes in their mouths and swirl them around. Most of them spit in or near the sink, standing on stools, sitting on counters or each other's knees, froth dripping all the way down to their toes. I feel a small hand on my arm. I jump. Come on, Ophelia, let's go. Cherry motions to the long, full bedroom. Ophelia? Read stories, Sylvia says. I half recognize the book that Carlos's tiny look-alike carries as she takes me by the sleeve and leads me to the long, dark room of thickly painted bunk beds. She leaves me standing in the middle of the rows, near a plump velvet armchair. I look around, realizing that there's no one else to tuck them in. Kite and Carlos are busy with their business. The girls have beds, but nobody to tuck them in. I can do it. I can take care of them. I sit down on the plush cushions and clear my throat. I rattle. The girls giggle and then quiet themselves to hear the story. After 2 false starts for those who had not remembered to use the toilets, I sit, surrounded by their bunks, with a book on my lap, my raspy voice recounting the exciting tale of 3 bears and a small girl who liked to steal their cooked, nutritious cereal. I read it twice from the 2 sets of words on the page, once in English and once again in French. A few girls shout out the Spanish translations. At the end of the story, I hear soft, sweet snores and sighs circling the room. I pull their sheets up to their chins and pat their legs under the soft cotton. I don't need to touch them to take care of them. Kiss my stuffed lion, a very small girl demands. Pleased with my efforts, she holds out her own head for a kiss. I only pause to snatch a spare pillowcase, folding it double, holding it between her forehead and my lips to plant a soft between her eyes. She rolls over under her blankets and falls asleep. The other girls who are still awake request a kiss each for their dinosaurs and dolls, and then I latch the door quietly behind me. I busy myself sorting out their tangled shoes and stacking them in a line on the rack. I toss their socks into laundry bins, straighten the chairs in the kitchen, and wipe all of the toothpaste from the counters and doorknobs. Sure that Kite and Carlos are still busy setting the type, I set down my cleaning rag and slump into the soft cushions of the couch nearest to the bunk beds. Kite wakes me with a harsh pinch to my nipple. I push away her inky silken hand, reaching for her mouth instead. Wake up, lazy bones. She pulls away, taking me with her past the living room. She points triumphantly at the office table, layered a foot deep with bright blue and neon orange flyers. Carlos beams and clinks the 3 glasses in his hand against the bottle that he's opening. Kite giggles and sloppily dumps a bag of flour into a bucket half full of water. She stirs it with a wooden ruler. Let's go flyering, she bounces on her heels. I pick up an orange slip of paper and sound it out. Kite's carving is surrounded by letters now. Buy a wife and a life. Support girls, not dirtbags. They look great! Congratulations! I tell them. Carlos pours 3 glasses of rusty water and hands them to us. I take a large celebratory swig. I choke and burble. It's not water. Wait to say salud, Kite chided me. What is it? Will it make our guts stink like milk does? Kite rolls her eyes and rasps through the corner of her mouth so that Carlos won't hear. It's liquor. It's more like tea than milk. It'll be fun. Just drink it. She pulls away and holds her glass high. Salud! Salud. Salud? We all clink our glasses without breaking them, and then drink Carlos's syrupy liquor. I look at mine. It's golden. I sniff it. Smells like caramel. I take another sip. It tingles the whole way down. I lick my lips while they pour more. I hold my glass out too. I drink it down, enjoying the sweet burn. I stumble backwards and sit with a thunk on the map table. Oh, I intone. This is tasty. Let's go! Kite jumps up and down. Let's go flying right now. Carlos looks to me. I look to the dark, starless sky outside and lean backwards on the map with my eyes closed. I want to sleep like the girls. They shouldn't be left alone. But Kite rips me to my feet by my arms. I'm so dizzy. Let's go, she pleads. The flyers are cool, I agree. Carlos goes to the coat hooks by the front door. He swirls his cape around his shoulders and sets his top hat upon his head. I look back at the girls' bedrooms, but then I have to focus my eyes on the stairs that were descending to the empty factory floor. Carlos locks the door securely behind us. I hear the 8 clicks of the bolts sliding into place with the girls safely inside. If Sylvia or Cherry or any of the little ones wake up, they'll have Bernice and all of their older friends to look out for them. I struggle to adjust my night vision, and I follow my friends into the night. A beer sounds really good, actually.